In Adobe Comp, if I click the plus sign, I can get all these choices. So if I go to print, I'm going to get a higher resolution choice. So I might choose, like a tabloid is 11 by 17. I could choose like an A3 size. So it just gives me a big, kind of a bigger pasteboard. It does it for our purposes. It really doesn't matter. Just choose a horizontal and vertical one. We're not going to be like looking at your images with a magnifying glass and seeing if you have enough resolution. So then you can click on the little mountain range. It's the center icon above, and this is going to access your photographs. So if I go to my camera roll, I can go to where all those photographs I shot in the class. You can do this multiple ways. You can go ahead and choose all the pictures and put them on there, and then you can start manipulating them. It's a little bit challenging because you're going to have like a lot of things at once, and it could be hard to do. Another way of doing it, which I recommend, is start with your main focal points and get those figured out first, and then kind of work in the background. I just chose 3, and then I'm going to just click cancel, and you're going to see that those pictures are automatically on my pasteboard. So I can move these pictures around by pressing and dragging. To control layers, right now I have 3 layers. In the middle on the bottom is a stack of, looks like 3 pieces of paper. That controls what's on top and what's on the bottom. So depending on what I choose. So if I choose that image and go to my layers icon, I can see that that little slider's all the way to the right. That means it's on top. So if I move this to the left, it's now in the middle. And I move it all the way to the left, it's now behind everything. So if I choose this one, which is sandwiched in the middle of the 2 layers, and go to my layers icon and move it to the right, it's now in front. Now, if you happen to think you're clicking on something and just slide, you're going to draw a line. It's a temporary line that goes away. So make sure you click on things. The other thing to note is that to zoom in and out, you use your 2 fingers, and you can zoom in or zoom out of the image. You can also click on an image and go to the corner and scale it up and down. If you want to scale the picture in proportion, make sure you do it from the corner, because if you do it from the side, it's going to crop it sideways. If you double click on the image, you can now crop the image by using your fingers. Move my fingers out. Notice I'm cropping the picture tighter. Move it together and it's smaller. Click out to get it back. You can also click on an image, and with your 2 fingers, I click the image, I'm using my 2 fingers and on it and rotating it. What I want to show you is now how we're going to get this effect of the cubism. Let's take this picture and I'm going to move it to the front. And I want to now fragment it. I don't want the whole picture. I only want part of it. And this is why I'm saying, why don't you try using your focal point images first and get that figured out. If I click on the image and I go to the icon just to the right of the stack here, which is that one, that takes us to Adobe Cloud. And you can go from this to another app and edit the image and bring it back instantly. So if I click on that icon, I can go to any of these other Photoshop apps. The one that I want to do is Cutout in Photoshop Mix. And so it's taking me to this other app. So there's different ways of erasing images. There's the standard way, which is basic. I can undo, see the icon at the top, undo. I can paint on the image and get things back. I'm going to undo that. And what's really cool is it's got some smarts to it. And if I go to the smart one, notice it kind of like finds the edges of things. You see how it found those edges? So I can combine that with the basic one, kind of zoom in and kind of erase some parts. So just for fun, I'm going to erase, and let's erase some of this, okay? Just so we can see what happens. At the very top, you see where it says Save and Return to Adobe Comp. So I can save that, click, And now it takes me right back to my Adobe Comp app, and I can see that there's my image. I'm going to take this one away. That's got this section removed. Do you see that? This is an example of multiple vantage points of the subject. I recommend you work out something cool with your main images and then lay in the background. So we can see what's happening on our other image, and that's not quite lining up, but we'll do it again. I'm going to put this image in front. Cut out and mix. Control the size of the brush and the hardness of the brush. So now I'm going to return back to Adobe Comp, and we can see through the image. So I got the same effect with sort of a different view. There's other things you can do, and I'm not going to get into those, but if you go to Adobe Cloud, you can there's filter effects, you can touch up pictures, if you go to adjust in Photoshop Express, you can adjust the tones, you can do posterizations, all those image control things you can do on these. And I encourage you to experiment with colors and tones and things like that. You can also edit the parts of your images before you bring it into Adobe Comp. So if you want to cut them out or do some filter effects, you can do that ahead of time.